Hello and welcome to another GT Sport video. Today we will be driving the Daily Race B, which this week is a Group 4 race on the Monza circuit. The car that we are using is the Bugatti Veyron Group 4 car, which appeared to be one of the faster cars around this circuit. And we will be starting in P10. As you can see, the start is already going smoothly, as the player in P8 doesn't seem to be moving towards the finish line to start the race at all. Well, we finally catch a break and the race does eventually start, but now all the players behind P8 are packed in one big group, so we might as well have had a standing start. We managed to overtake the TT at the beginning, but going down to the first chicane, the Dutch driver in the Bugatti seems to overtake us. And seeing the squabble between those two cars, I guess we might call ourselves lucky that we survived the first chicane. But we're still in P10, so no harm done. Let's continue on the race. Into the second chicane, we're next to the Dutchman, but in the second corner we'll have to back out a little bit. Meanwhile, the driver behind us is right on our tail in Lesmo 1. Through Lesmo 2. We get a better exit and we managed to open up a little gap between me and the British driver. Going into Ascari, we miss our braking point just a little bit and we touch the Dutchman. The British driver behind us managed to keep up or catch up to us, but nothing really happens there. So let's head on straight to lap 2. Here we're making our approach to the first chicane, and the Dutchman chooses to go defensive and chooses the inside line. Here we touch him just a little bit, we miss our braking point, but because we touched the Dutchman there, we get a 2-second penalty. So now we're basically screwed, because everybody behind us is quite closely packed together. So we approach the second chicane. We're still able to maintain our place. We even managed to open up a gap of almost a second to the driver behind us. Through Lesmo 2, and eventually we are forced to pay our dues. So we lose 2 positions, a third, and a 4th driver that passed us while we were looking behind us. So we're now in P14, onto Ascara. We just managed to keep P14, another driver quits, we overtake another one, and we're in P12 again. So now, let's head straight on to the last lap. Coming out of the first chicane, well, it's not a Hungarian driver, I think it's a Middle Eastern driver and a German driver were kind of pushing each other, and because of this we managed to take advantage from that and go to P11. Coming on to the second chicane, once again we miss our braking point completely and we go off right here. We give the German P11 back, afraid of getting a penalty otherwise, and we don't get a penalty, luckily. So that concludes our first race. So we started off by one player not really starting off, and we went from P10 to P12 because of a 2-second penalty. But let's not think about it too much and just head straight into the second race. During the last race I got tired of the Bugatti Veyron and its massive weight, so I chose one of my favorite Group 4 cars, which is the Audi TT. So let's see how we do in the second race. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to squeeze a bit of time of our qualifying, so again we're starting in the middle of the pack, and more specifically we're starting in the same position as last race, which is P10. And luckily no other players before the start which stop on the middle of the track for some reason, so we actually get a rolling start this time. So here we make our approach to the first chicane. Braking a little later than the car in front. We managed to get next to him, but we have to back out coming out of the second corner. For the moment the German driver behind us is right on our tail, but we seem to be accelerating a bit more than him. So now we're approaching the second chicane. We brake again later than the Spanish driver. We managed to squeeze just past him during the second corner, but we leave a little space for him to be on track, so we didn't push him completely off. But anyhow, we managed to secure P9. So let's hunt for P8. Our exit in the second Lesmo corner is quite well, so we're actually gaining on the two drivers in front of us. We're braking for Ascari, maintaining our momentum through the corner. That's the most important bit with Ascari. And down the road to Parabolica, we're approaching Francesca quite close, but we don't really manage to overtake her here. Well, I'm assuming it's her, seeing as the name is Francesca. But we try to stick close. Unfortunately, the Spanish driver behind us is approaching us like half seconds behind us. So he's approaching quickly. Here we go through the first chicane once more. We try to overtake Francesca again, but just because we tap her on the inside, we get a 1-second penalty for it more than the track limit. But then nothing really happens anymore. I just decide to play it patiently, and here obviously we have to pay our penalty. So we lose one place, we take our place back on the racing line, and one driver doesn't seem to notice and actually almost crashes. Fortunately for us, this results in us maintaining P10. But nothing really happens there until lap 3, when we are approaching the group in front, and a couple of cars there seem to be having a penalty which they have to pay this lap. So here we overtake one driver which had a penalty of 2 seconds, I believe, but the other driver here, his penalty was too low for us to be able to overtake him. Once again we managed to miss our braking point and we crash into him, which results in us getting once again a 1-second penalty. And coming out of Ascari we go off the track, and luckily we don't get a penalty for that. Fortunately for us, the driver in front also gets a penalty for some reason, probably cut the Ascari corner a little too much. So the end of lap 3. Not really what we expected. As you can see on the timing table, the Spanish driver behind us is really closing up, and he's going to overtake us on the inside. Also, he has a 1 second penalty, and the driver behind us has a gap of more than 1.5 seconds, so if we're lucky, nobody is going to overtake us, and we're having to serve our penalty. So approaching on the second chicane, can we overtake him again? Get next to him, and he's backing out. So back onto P9. So now we go on to paying the penalty. Of course, the Spanish driver behind us doesn't get any closer, as he also had a 1 second penalty. And nothing really happens from here on. The gap behind us is 1 second, the gap in front of us is actually 3 seconds, so that's how the race ends, P9. So this race we drove from P10 to P9, which is already better than last race, which was actually a setback from P10 to P12. But P9 is not actually that satisfying, so I just wanted a little bit better result. So let's head on into a third race. Here we get the third race, which by the way has the same guy in pole position as the first one. And although we managed to squeeze a little time of our qualifying time, we start in P13 this race. So we're already starting further behind. And it appears that the gods are merciful, because once again there's no player stopping on track before the start. So third race, P13. Let's see what we can do about this. So we seem to have a better start than the driver behind us, as we are already closing in on the Russian driver in front. Approaching the first chicane, we're taking the inside line. Not braking too late this time. And coming out of the first chicane, the Russian drivers seem to have drawn the shortest straw, because he drives into the German driver, and this results in us taking P12. So that's already one position that we make up. So now we're approaching the second chicane. We don't really have any space to attack the drivers in front, so we try to take the ideal line. And we slowly approach the group in front. Desmo 1. No real danger here. Desmo 2. As you can see, the drivers in front are starting to battle each other, and we are trying to pass them on the right side, and we just tap the Peugeot a little bit as we go in front, and suddenly one driver who was paying a penalty unghosts, and the two drivers drive into him. So this results in us taking P9, and after Ascari, because our line was pretty good, we already are catching up to the group in front. But we still have to maintain vigilance, because the Russian driver behind us is quite close as well. So approaching Parabolica, once again we brake too late. We try to go to the inside of the Spanish driver, but we tap him just a little bit. As he taps the other Spanish driver in front, he loses the position. So now we're in P8, and I get to be really lucky because I don't get a penalty here. So now lap 2, approaching the first chicane again. We take the inside line, brake a little later than the two drivers in front, and the Russian driver actually overtakes us. And the Valentino Rossi fan also does. So now we're in P10. But we catch a little break as the Russian driver in front gets a 1 second penalty. So now we're approaching the second chicane. Tapping the Spanish driver just a little bit. Luckily we don't get a penalty here. The Russian driver seems to miss the first Lesmo corner, so he loses 2 positions. So we are already back in P9. And now, actually nothing really interesting is happening. We don't really get an opportunity to overtake anyone, and the drivers behind were paying their penalties or too far behind. So now we're in lap 3, and we're once again in a position to overtake the driver. So we go into the inside of the Peugeot, approaching the first chicane. We're braking a little early, but we don't really manage to secure the 8th position. But now for the 3rd time we're heading on to the second chicane. We're still a bit far away to attack the Spanish driver in front, but due to us missing our breakpoint once more, we go into the inside, hit him just slightly as he steers in, so we give him the position as to not get a penalty. But in the process I didn't notice that the Italian driver was this close and he managed to squeeze by as well. So we end up in P10. After the rest of the lap I don't really get an opportunity to overtake either one of them. But they keep battling among themselves, so I'm biding my time for now. And then we get onto the start-finish straight for the last lap. The Spanish and Italian driver are still battling among themselves, and also me, I'm trying to find a way through, and after looking left and right a bit, the only road that seems to be available is the middle. So approaching the first chicane, I just braked a little later than the both of them and managed to squeeze my way through. So now we're in P8. And, well, defense is the name of the game now. I need to maintain this P8 for the rest of the lap. And as you can see, the Spanish driver is right on my tail. Here we are coming through the second chicane. Coming out of it, we just managed to keep our position. Now we're coming through Lesmo 1. And what do I see coming out of the corner? The Spanish driver behind me has a 1 second penalty. So here's where I catch my big break, and nothing really happens anymore during that lap. I get to keep my P8. I do have to admit that at the end, at Parabolica, the Italian driver comes pretty close, but in the end he doesn't really get into a position to overtake me anymore. So that's how the race ends, P8. In the end, not that bad, considering that we came from P13. Luckily we didn't get a penalty this race. So what do we take from these races at Monza? I think 2 things. 1, the Bugatti is not a car for me. And 2, always watch your braking point, people. Always. Anyway, this is all I have for you today. Hopefully see you next time.